right, y'all. What is up, Nurse Coach homies? Welcome back to the podcast. I am super stoked. Today I have Sydney here with me, who was a Catalyst client who's just finishing up Catalyst. And so it's been a while since I've done a client spotlight session. And I feel like Sydney is going to be a lot of fun to talk to. I'm really excited for you guys to hear more of her story, more of what she's up to. And so, Sydney, I would love for you to just start out introducing yourself to the crew.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I mean, I listened to the podcast before I messaged you, before I was in Catalyst, so this feels very full circle for me. But yeah, hi, I'm Sydney. Like Micah said, I was in the Catalyst, and now I'm part-time in the hospital, launching my own group programs, Too Hot to Settle. Yeah, it's been quite the journey, so I'm really happy to be here.
Amazing. And tell us about what kinds of stuff you're into. What are you up to these days? What's exciting you recently? Give us a little background as to who Sydney is underneath it all.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, is this going to be a video podcast? I'm like, can people see my sprout?
Totally.
Totally. Okay,
You
yeah.
both.
Great, great. So
Yeah.
if you can't see, I have a little sprout on because first and foremost, I'm a huge raver. Always been a huge fan of music. I went to my first concert at like age 5. And now throughout my life, it looks like a lot of EDM, a lot of dancing full out, being silly, goofy. I'm also sober. So something that I've really loved in my sober journey has been going to raves and just healing my inner child. So that has been a huge thing for me. I'm also super, super passionate about mental health awareness, decreasing stigma. So I have a podcast, You Are the Healer, that I created 3 years ago to help people learn how to help themselves. So the whole message is you are the healer, you are your own greatest caretaker, because that's a lesson I've had to learn so much in my life. And when I was learning it initially, I was alone. And so I like to provide story time, education, literally anything I can to help people help themselves. I'm so passionate about mental health awareness. I think we all need to be talking about it more. So that's a huge part of me. And then I'm also huge animal lover, big into nature. You'll always catch me with like my shoes off outside somewhere. So that's a little bit of
That's
what I'm up to.
no, that's like so true because I feel like most of the group calls that you joined, like you're outside basking in the sun or hula hooping or just like chilling. I'm like, what is happening? But I love it so much. Yeah, I love that you also got to come to the retreat and we got to meet in person. It was so cool. For you guys that don't know, we just did a retreat in Joshua Tree, had a bunch of our clients come out. I also had a few guests come out. And it was really cool to just be able to meet people in person and hang out in real life. And just I think for me, it's like consistently seeing the value in community and how
Mhm.
important it is to like really create spaces like that. And I loved it because one night my wife was like, I feel like I could be friends with Sydney, like actually though, you know? And I was like, yes, dude. And then we all started planning potentially doing shows together, like
Mhm.
going to a festival out of the gorge, which unfortunately I don't think is going to work out on our end. But I just think it's really cool because I've been thinking a lot about the kinds of people that I want to attract into my world. And one of the things that I've been thinking about is like, I really don't want anyone to come into my world that I wouldn't want to hang out with in real life.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
like becoming like a hard like boundary for me where I'm just like,
Uh-huh.
if I wouldn't want to spend time with you at a retreat, like I'm probably gonna pass on you joining
Mhm.
any sort of like mentorship of mine or anything like that because I just see myself definitely going in the direction of like more in-person stuff, more community building, like just building life with people. And I think like you're one of those people that we're like, yeah, we could totally hang out with like in life, even if we had, you had nothing to do with like entrepreneurship and business and, having you come in into Catalyst and things like that. So tell us a little bit more about like first of all, what was business like before you actually found Catalyst? What were things that maybe you were dealing with or struggling with? What were you navigating? What was going well? What wasn't? Paint us the picture there.
Yeah, totally. So before I started entrepreneurship, my career has pretty much always been as a psych nurse. And so I was working full time in the hospital, 3 shifts a week, inpatient, which honestly, my job is pretty chill, but it can be pretty intense sometimes too. And so the reason I went into entrepreneurship is because the hospital, in my mind, is such a band-aid solution to a very real problem. So I work inpatient psych with kids, right? And so we're giving them meds, but I'm like, we're not, I don't know. I really feel like there's so much healing that happens outside of the hospital in a holistic way. And I feel so qualified to help people because I've spent years learning about it and helping myself. And so I started entrepreneurship. It really felt like a very solo journey. I joined the Nurse Coach Collective. I got certified, and it was almost like I was doing all of these things without telling anybody about it. Like it was like I had a secret business. I didn't tell people what I was up to. Like it was very, very low key. I think because I was so scared to fail and I didn't want people to know that I had tried and failed at something. And so I got certified. I did pro bono clients, all that stuff. And then I basically just like got stuck. I couldn't figure out how to get people into my world. And something that I learned so much is like having a dog whistle to your audience, like being specific about who it is that you want to help. Because before Catalyst, I was like, I'll help anybody. Like I can pivot, I can be flexible. Like I really just didn't want to help people that were like super, super, super sick. And that's kind of all I knew. So all my posts were vague. My DMs were vague. I don't even think I was DMing people actually at that point. And I just was posting on, my Instagram and stories and TikToks, like, open to coaching clients and like crickets. Like it was, and I was trying. And I remember we had a call a couple months before I joined Catalyst. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm just going to like try and do it like on my own. And then I came back and I was like, hey, it was hard.
Yeah, on my own is not working.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's so much about entrepreneurship. I was talking to somebody today about like, you don't get it unless you have your own business. And I don't know anybody in my life. I mean, I know people that have their own business, but it not my closest people. Like I'm in my 20s, so everyone's working for the man, it feels like. So I kind of had like nobody to talk to all these things about. And again, it was very much like a solo journey. And so Catalyst was such a breath of fresh air because not only was it people that are starting their entrepreneurship journey, but it's people that are coming from a nursing background too. So like switching that mindset of working for somebody else, helping people and getting a paycheck later, like all of those things are so specific to all of the people in Catalyst and the community. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people get me. Like even before I actually started to get to know some of the people, I'm like, you understand me more than half the people in my life because we're in the same situation. And so that was so helpful to be surrounded by people in the same journey as me.
Yeah, dude, I'm so like bullish on community. I'm like, yes, this is such a key part of it. I also think there are some clear things that people just don't know when they're stepping into entrepreneurship. And so you end up in that boat, right, of trying a bunch of different things, kind of throwing spaghetti at a wall and being like, all right, why is nothing happening? Like nothing's
Mm-hmm.
sticking. So what do you think were some of the things that created some of those unlocks for you or stuff that you had to develop knowledge wise, skills wise, identity wise that allowed you to step into actually having a real business that you're now getting paid for?
Yeah, a big thing for me was getting super specific on who I help and really talking to real people. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but like getting in conversations. And I did so many values trade calls, and I didn't even know what that was before the program. But talking to people and saying like, this is something that I'm building. Is this something that is feasible? And give me your honest answer. And so getting in real conversations with real people and being completely detached, that was also something that was super helpful. Is I think in the beginning, especially because I went part-time pretty early on into my business, I was like, oh my gosh, I need things from other people. And it's like, actually, if you just detach from the outcome, like I think of a girl I was messaging because she was interested in my program, didn't end up signing for the program, but now she's like, if you ever want a place to stay in Maui, like text me. So I'm like, okay, I like just being detached leaves you open to all of the opportunities instead of like the one way that you think a client outcome might work. And that's been huge because there's so much benefit to entrepreneurship that's not financial, like the connection, the community, all of those things. And so being detached from the outcome from other people, removing a transaction, and really just something that really resonated for the last couple months is like over serving people, like having no agenda, just showing up as best you can. And like the universe just like flows it right back to you. And it's so cool how much has happened since I've been detached from the transaction.
I love that so much. It's hard to be in that place and be like, I just am going to show up and serve people and have fun. And also, just like, I know I say this all the time, especially like for you guys that are in Catalyst, you hear me say this all the time, but I just truly believe my business strategy has been making friends wherever I go.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just like been the foundation of everything that I've created. And I think that's the greatest gift that I could give people that are stepping onto this path is like, what if this was just a fun game of you making friends wherever you go? And then what you just hit on is sometimes the outcome of that is not the one that you expected or
Mm-hmm.
maybe initially wanted. It could be something better. It could
Mm-hmm.
be something like so sick that comes back around that maybe is a collaboration. Maybe it's a referral partner. Maybe it's just a place to stay in Hawaii, which like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you'll do for the next retreat, which is gonna be fun. If you island hop, you should totally hit her up. Uh,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's just like so cool to see things that way because then it's
Mm-hmm.
so much less pressure and so much more fun. And then, like, every person that you do interact with, they feel that energy. They feel the energy of like, oh, this person's like doing what they're meant to be doing. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're in their zone of genius. They are lit up. And I love this quote. I can't remember who said this, but it's light yourself on fire with passion, and people will come for miles to watch you burn.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if we are lit up by the stuff that brings us to life and the stuff that we're really excited by in life, people will be drawn to that. They'll be magnetized to that. And I think it just makes business a lot easier. So, what are some of the things like more practically speaking that, and you hit on value trade calls, was there anything else that you feel like you learned or skill sets that you developed that you're like, man, had I not like understood this or practiced this, like this would have stayed just as hard as like before mentorship type of thing?
Yeah, I think something I really took away from the retreat is a lot about networking and doing things in person. So like I just think of Kellyanne saying get big. So before you do an in-person event, even if that's just having a conversation with somebody about your business or what's going on, like getting big, sitting up straight, getting tall, and like not backing down. I think especially as like women in business, it's really easy to be, scared away from it because, there's big dogs out there.
Yeah.
So getting big, and then something big that I took away too is like being more interested than interesting. So asking people about them, how can I support you? And then organically you'll share about your business most likely and be supported too. So those were really big takeaways I had. And now I'm doing an in-person event all weekend, which is crazy because before the retreat even, I was like, no, in person is not my thing. Like I've gotten all my clients. I mean, I guess one was in person, but like pretty much all of them through social media. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that I'm like jazzed to go to an in-person networking event.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear about that too. Would you say that's the thing that's most exciting you about the direction of your business is like more in-person stuff, or is there something else that feels like most alive for you right now in terms of the path that you're on?
I think just living in my authenticity and like trusting who I am and who I will attract. I'm so excited about the potential clients that I'm going to interact with at this event, but not just even at this event, like showing up in the DMs really authentically and organically and like I said, like not detached, no outcome, no agenda in my mind. And I'm just excited to see like who will show up in my world and how we'll connect. Cause like you said, I feel very similarly. Like I don't want to sign somebody that I wouldn't hang out with for fun. Like that wouldn't just be like a homie. And so I'm just excited about the true connections that I'm going to make. And then, I mean, ultimately, like the transformation that I get to walk people through, that is like inexplainable how awesome it is to see somebody, log back in or meet back up with them. And they're like, oh my gosh, this thing changed. And it's that, there's no words for that.
Oh, that's so good. Recently, I was gonna say snuck into Coachella, but that's not what happened.
I was gifted a wristband.
Yeah, recently, you got into Coachella having no plans to go to Coachella. We finished up our retreat in Joshua Tree, and Sydney says, I want to go to Coachella. And I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna get in. And I'm gonna go for free, actually. And so she just said that out loud. And she was riding with our friend Joy, who is also a Catalyst client, and she's catching a ride from Joy, and she says, Joy, we can get into Coachella for free. I don't know how, but we're gonna do it. Are you down? And Joy is like, yeah, I'm down. And so Sydney actually gets both of them in to Coachella for free. And I would love for you to just, first of all, tell us that story. Second of all, tell us how that actually relates to like who you are as a person, how you show up, and also some of the things that you want to bring into your world, like business wise. Like, I think there's so much magic, even just within that story, around like claiming what you want and then
Mhm.
getting after it, but not from a place of like, let me like weasel my way into things, but rather from a place of just energetic attraction. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, totally. So I'm a big spiritual manifester type person, which is it's interesting to me because I don't like try and manifest. Like you won't catch me doing like stuff on purpose. It's just kind of how I operate. Like I claim things and they happen. Like that's just it. So yeah, it was right place, right time. I've never wanted to go to Coachella, but we happened to be in Joshua Tree, which is 30 minutes from Coachella, and we were done on Sunday. It's a 3-day festival, and there's no single day tickets. So I'm like, people have got to be leaving early that would just give their wristband because all you need is a wristband. And I know Coachella is a big influencer thing. So I'm like, people probably didn't even pay for some of their wristbands. They're on their way out. Maybe they don't have, the endurance for 3 days. And I'm willing to help them get rid of the wristband. I was like, I'm open to it. And what's interesting about this is like, I was certain that I was getting in. I didn't have a plan. Like you said, I literally that day was like, Joy, if we got tickets, would you go? And she was like, yes. I was like, okay, so we're going. I was like, great. The biggest thing was like, would she be willing to drive me and be down for this crazy cycle?
Yes.
And when she said yes, I was like, holy shit, we're going to Coachella. Like I already, like, I don't know, I just knew it was gonna happen. Like I'm very intuitive and I was like, we're ending up there. Plus, like logistically, it made sense, you know? So we decided to go through Joshua Tree National Park, which we were both like so down to do. We were right there. And Coachella was literally on the way back to San Diego, which is where we're flying out of. And so I'm like, okay, let's just like park and figure it out. Like I didn't like you said, I didn't have a plan. I just had a lot of audacity. And I think that's something that definitely translates in my life into business. Like you have to have the audacity because if not you, then somebody who's less qualified will. And that is my like fire motivation because if somebody else who is less qualified but has more audacity wins, like that's hurtful because I'm very qualified. The people who like are in Catalyst that we want to root for, like they can help people. It's just they need the audacity to show up and be like, this is mine. I'm taking it. So we show up, we park, which honestly was the hardest part of the whole plan because the line was very long to park. And the whole time we're like, how are we going to get a ticket? I'm like, you know what? Like, it's just going to happen. And honestly, if it doesn't, I had that detached energy. Like, we were just going to go home anyways. So it's like, if it doesn't happen, we'll just turn around. But she was like, Joy was like, I'll pay $25. I'm like, no, that's too much. Like, I was like, I promise you, we are getting in for free. And because I'm like, it's the principle. It's the principle. We're here just to be there. And if it happens, it happens. If not, like, people are trying to sell us their wristbands for like $200, $100. And I was like, no, like I'm here for to find somebody on their way out that is going in the trash. And I am seizing the opportunity. And so we asked so many people for, hey, are you on your way out? Are you keeping your wristbands? Like just kept asking. And I think that's another thing that translates so much to business is like sometimes you got to put a lot of things out there. And there was this metaphor at the retreat too that was like, you're fishing, you need to have as many lines in the water. And so every person we passed, we said, hey, you leaving? Are you selling your ticket? Blah, blah, blah. And we got a lot of offers, but none of them were the offer that I was looking for. So I said no. And I think that's another thing is like an empowered no. Like I've said no to people wanting to work with me because it wasn't the right vibe. And I think that says a lot in anything, honestly, being able to say, no, this isn't for me. Even if it's a good offer, it wasn't the one I was looking for. And what was crazy is we got something even better than what I was looking for because these 3 people were walking out super slow, like they weren't in a rush, but I'm like, they look like they're done. And we enjoyed like to each other. I was like, this is it. I was like, this is our end. And I'm like, hey guys, like, are you on your way out? They're like, yeah, we are. Do you want our wristbands? I didn't have to ask. I was like, hell yeah, I want your wristband. They were VIP. We got 2 VIP wristbands to Coachella, and they were taking off their 3rd one to give to us. I'm like, whoa, there's only 2 of us, man. Like we don't need 3. I was about to have an extra VIP wristband to Coachella. And so we walk in, and I didn't celebrate yet because I'm like, okay, it's on my wrist, but I haven't seen it scan. Like, who knows? We walk in and we scan it. It turns green, and me and Joy were like hitting each other, like, holy shit, we hit it into Coachella. And then every second that I was there, we stayed there from like 6 p.m. to like 12:30. every second was like the best second of my life because I wasn't expecting to be in Coachella. And so I took Joy to Subtronics. We're at the barricade. She was loving it. It was so much fun. And I just think,
Barricade at Subtronics had to be crazy
yeah.
town.
And because it was VIP, it was so spaced out. We weren't like crammed like sardines. So there's plenty of room to move. I was so close to Subtronics, I could see his dimples. I'm like, that's crazy.
That's wild.
And it could have been like the pure adrenaline from being there and like not expecting to be there. But that was one of the best sets I've ever seen by him. So it was just, I don't know. It was such a cherry on top. Like the retreat itself was one of the best weekends ever. And then to end up at Coachella for free, I'm like, wow, that's ridiculous. So yeah,
Ugh.
Spark Notes is like having the audacity, saying an empowered no, because I could have gone for $200 for a regular wristband, but I chose to say no.
Yeah.
And then being detached. Yeah.
Oh, there's so much gold in here. Like, I was hoping that you would hit on the audacity thing because I think that's so key. And like getting anything that you want out of life, that might be like the kind of relationship that you want, that might be the kind of business that you want. Like, it really doesn't matter. You have to have enough courage, enough confidence, enough audacity to get after it. But the cool thing about what you talked about and the way that you painted that story was very much so like, yeah, I claimed that, I called it. But I didn't just like sit in my room with my legs crossed Indian style, holding my hands up, manifesting a ticket. You showed up.
Yeah.
You fucking showed up to actually get the thing and then waited for the perfect opportunity that you were looking for and turned down opportunities that weren't the opportunities that you were looking for. And I say this a lot. Like, I feel like Catalyst is maybe the only like business mentorship program where we're celebrating turning down clients.
Yeah.
It's like so empowering to be like, I actually don't need anything from anyone. And if you have the opportunity to work with me, that's a gift to you. It's not the thing that I need. Like, I'm not like desperate to make this work. And I think that's also such a magnetic energy to be in. And probably why, well, definitely why it worked out the way that it did is because if you had accepted those opportunities, you wouldn't have gotten freebies.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have never seen the Rose Garden. There's an entire VIP Rose Garden. It was like a museum.
Crazy. I love that so much. It's just there's so many threads in here, I think, to pull on. But the biggest is that like manifestation and like getting after the things that we want in life doesn't just come by like claiming it with certainty and then sitting there. It comes by claiming it with certainty and then showing up. And putting yourself out there a bunch of times. Like you would ask for, I mean, how much would you have guessed you asked before that?
Oh, probably like 25 plus.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at estimating numbers. But
but
it was up there.
A lot. A lot.
And it's embarrassing too. Like I was facing rejection.
And it's not personal. They just didn't have a ticket they wanted to give you, right?
Or they were going back in. Yeah.
But it's also like that lesson too of like, it's not personal. It's literally just where a person's at and their circumstances and if this is the right thing for them as well. But I think like it just goes to show sometimes, even in stepping into a business like the ones that we are in, we have to go through a bunch of no's to get to the right opportunities. There is no way around that. Like, it would be great if I could like hand people just like a magic pill that gets them to the point in business where you just have everybody saying yes, but that it actually doesn't exist. Like, that is like a mythical reality that literally doesn't exist where you have everybody that you ever come into contact with being like, absolutely, this is the perfect thing for me. And so you have to learn how to almost like build up the endurance of going through the no's and also turning down the things that aren't the right opportunity for you. So I just feel like there's so much gold in that that I'm like, let's go. It was so cool to like see the group chat blowing up with you and Joy sending pictures from Coachella. I was like, this is everything. I loved it so much. What do you think have been the biggest identity upgrades that you've had to go through in entrepreneurship?
Oh man. Entrepreneurship has been the most like spiritual deep dive into myself that I've ever experienced, which is so interesting because I was doing that before and I thought I knew myself. And then I did entrepreneurship and it's like, oh, fuck. Like you really have to face yourself. We were joking at the retreat, like you're going into the abyss, like and a lot of people choose to shy away and they're like, actually, never mind. I'm just going to go back to doing what I know. And I think the people that really make it work are the people that are like, this is scary. Take a deep breath, keep going down, and facing yourself.
Yeah.
Biggest identity shifts. I mean, going from working as a nurse, helping people truly what feels like out of the goodness of my heart, and then getting a paycheck weeks later, and those things seemingly being unrelated, to asking people for money. I remember the first time someone paid me, I was like, what? Like, it was huge, but I feel like it was a big obstacle to overcome. And once that happened now I'm like so comfortable with people paying me because it's like I'm qualified, my services are fucking awesome, and like I need to make this sustainable too. So I can't do this healing and helping the way that I want to if people don't pay me. So a big identity shift was not only being okay with receiving money, but like welcoming it, being encouraging it. And it's feeling really normal now, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you feel like an identity shift even in that like first payment coming through?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh, there's before and after this. Like I was like, now I have a business. I was like, oh, someone paid me. It's not a hobby or a side project. Like I got to put this on my taxes now. Like,
Yeah.
so that was cool.
Yeah. I always think there's such a like identity shift that comes with even the first like dollar you make online.
hmm
Not that it's usually just a dollar, but I literally think even if it were a small amount, there's still something that changes in a person when they are actually getting paid to do the thing that they love. And especially when it like felt really hard before and it finally happens. Like, how long were you going at business alone before you joined Catalyst?
I like to say it's been like I started my business in March of 2025, but I was working before I got my LLC too. So I mean, I graduated the Nurse Coach Collective in December of 2024, and I was trying to get clients. And then I think I signed my first one November of 2025. It's
Yeah.
almost a year. Damn. Almost a
Yeah.
year of trying and not knowing what to do and like, yeah.
I think like that's also a really good point that like a lot of time can be wasted if you don't really get a clear roadmap and some clear steps in front of you that can help you like recalibrate to the things that are important and kind of got not get distracted by the things that aren't so important. And I see that a lot because I think people come into this and they think that some of these other things are really important that aren't.
Yeah.
And then they neglect all the really important stuff like talking to real people and getting in value trade calls and creating a clear offer that solves a real problem that can be monetized and then developing a messaging strategy to get it in front of you. Like they don't focus on that stuff, but they are focused on like creating a website and a cute logo and stuff like that. That is not getting you anywhere. And so I think it's really interesting to note that you were kind of going at that for a while and not really seeing much come of it. Because I think something that I'm really passionate about is helping people see this as like a relational model, a relational business. And so if you aren't actually building relationships, if you're not actually in real connections, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
Like that's just like fact. Like you likely do not have a business if you aren't talking to people and in real connections. And I think that was one of the massive shifts that I saw you go through was like, I mean, you were in a lot of value trade calls early on. I think because of a TikTok that went off.
Yeah.
Was it a TikTok?
Yeah. It was a TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think was it something like you posted that you're looking for a specific kind of person and hoping to get feedback or on an offer. And a bunch of people be like, I'd be down.
Yeah, it was really specific. It was actually right before I went to go see Levity. So I was raved out. I was in my tie-dye pants. I looked so cute. And I was like, I'm looking for single spiritual women to help me design a group program. For 30 minutes of your time, I'll give you a personalized guided meditation. And I had like a bunch of people in those comments, which was it was awesome because then I called them, and even if they didn't become clients, I got great feedback and like friends. Like some of these people I was on calls with, like we're on Instagram, we're like Instagram buddies. So
yes, I love that. Yeah, someone was asking me in our free community Nursepreneur Lab. They were like, I was like, I think you should do some value trade calls. You'll get a lot out of that and get some clarity around the kind of structure of the offer and what that needs to be. And they were like, what are value trade calls? And I was like, oh man, I don't think people really know what that is. So for those that don't, I'll kind of like paint the picture for anyone that's listening that's like, what is a value trade call? It's just simply just getting on the phone with your ideal client or getting on a Zoom and really getting to know like, okay, this is the kind, first of all, you cannot do this properly if you don't have clarity around the exact type of person that you want to serve. So the only way this is actually going to be valuable to you is if you've gotten specific about that and you kind of have a general idea of the kind of thing that you want to bring to life for them, but you're just trying to dial that in. And so for Sydney, she knew that she wanted to work with mostly women that were spiritual. They've done a lot of inner work, but they haven't seen that necessarily translate into their dating life. They keep seeing these patterns show up for them, especially around certain attachment styles. And so she knew how to call that out. And when she got on these calls, she did what is a value trade, which is essentially offering an exchange for 30 minutes of a person's time. That might be like she did, like a meditation. That could be a free coaching session. That could be, I've used like, I'll send you my favorite book or something like that. And so in that 30-minute period, you're just getting to know what they've tried already, what's working for them, what's not, what they're really looking for, what's the most painful part of this problem that they're facing. What is it creating in their life? What are some of the consequences of that? What does a day to day or week to week look like facing this challenge and navigating it? Like just literally digging into it. And it's almost like pulling out that shovel and just continuing to try to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until you really hear like, oh, that's why they want to change that. That's what's going on for them. That's the emotion that they're feeling. That's the experience that they're having. And then you get clarity around how to position your offer because now you have their language that they're using. You have their emotions that they're telling you that they feel, their experiences, their day to day that you can paint the picture of in your content, in your, enrollment calls and things like that. And so I think a lot of people just don't have that clarity because they haven't talked to real people. They're just trying to throw stuff out there. So I know you did a lot of those early on, which I think is where, you were really able to create Too Hot to Settle. So tell us about Too Hot to Settle.
Yeah, I'm so excited to run my next round. I'm in withdrawals from Too Hot to Settle. So Too Hot to Settle is my 3-month women's group coaching program. It's really small on purpose because we get into it. It's deep transformation work of yourself and your person so that you show up better in your relationships. And so essentially, I help you build self-trust in your dating life. So you know your standards and you uphold them instead of going against your word, ignoring red flags, feeling the disappointment and heartbreak of knowing better but not doing better. So I help people set boundaries and maintain them so that they can have aligned relationships. And yeah, the last round was so awesome. Like I remember our last call, I was like almost crying because these girls were talking about how much has changed in their lives. And I'm like, wait, guys, can we keep hanging out? Like, yeah. I don't want this to end.
Good.
Yeah. And so I'm enrolling actually next week. I'm doing 2 cohorts this time instead of just one. So I'm doing a Tuesday and a Wednesday. It'll probably be too last minute for anybody listening to join, but I'm going to keep running them because who knows? I'm just going to keep running them every 3 months because, this is like my baby. Like, I've put so much TLC into this course, and this is a lot of the deep work that I've done in my own life. Like, I've learned through my mistakes, and I've made information worksheets, journal prompts, like all this stuff, because I want to help people not make the same mistakes that I've made in my dating life. And
yeah. Huge. What are some of the biggest shifts that you're seeing in the people that are going through this?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's about dating, but it's so much more than that, which was so cool to see because I wasn't expecting them to have these like big results. But I've heard my clients say that they consistently check in with their own needs before other people's needs. A lot of my clients were people pleasers, and so they're putting everybody else's needs before them. But now my clients, before saying yes or saying no, they're like, wait, what do I want? How do I feel? And they pause before making a decision, which is huge. My clients also have a lot more confidence in setting boundaries. And if someone pushes back on them, they're still like, no, I said what I said. Like you can't convince me out of my own decision. And so a lot of confidence on their own boundaries. And what else? I feel like those are the really big things. And then something that one of my clients had this big shift was like this huge like detachment. Like my timing is my timing. Like this like radical acceptance of her life path. And I was like, holy shit. It was
Yeah.
so cool to see.
That is really cool. What do you think are the consequences of somebody not actually facing this stuff? Like, if a people pleaser that didn't actually ever evaluate their attachment style and their inability to set and hold real boundaries, if they like stayed on that and never actually transformed those patterns, what do you think are some of the potential consequences for them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too extreme, but from my own experience, it's you start dating a loser who is most likely a narcissist and going to capitalize on your lack of boundaries and your big heart, and then you end up in a very toxic, manipulative relationship or marriage. I mean, God forbid. So you end up in these relationships with people who are not aligned with you. So you feel invisible, you feel not seen, not heard, taken advantage of. And so I think the consequences are really high. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, is because I'm like, why does nobody talk about how bad relationships can get? No one teaches us how to have healthy relationships. And yet they expect us all to be in them when they can be very harmful. And so I think the cost is just being in a harmful relationship, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, it's costly.
Yeah, and I also think like something that you just kind of triggered in my mind was this idea of like, let's say you do go into a marriage and that's the dynamic. It's if you don't ever look at this stuff and these are the patterns that you are just comfortable and familiar with and they've kind of become home to you, that is also the example. Like if you ever start a family, that's also the example that you're giving children.
Mm,
And like
yeah.
that has those like generational ripples that
Hmm.
come from like the examples that parents can set in a certain dynamic. Like that stuff is really huge. And I think sometimes we minimize the importance of really evaluating the patterns that we're stuck in
Hmm.
because we don't have the forward thinking to see the consequences of not changing that stuff. And I think it's really important what you're doing and how you're shifting. Like you mentioned, it's not really just about dating, it's about a person's internal landscape in such a
Hmm.
way that it inevitably changes how they show up in relationships. And
Hmm.
I think that stuff literally creates ripples beyond like the lifetimes we will live to see, you know?
Hmm.
It's a really big mission to live for. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool to think about the ripples of like generations of healing. God, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. So if people are interested in discovering more about Too Hot to Settle or just following along with you and your work and what you have going on, what's the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, the best place is TikTok and Instagram. It's the same it's at You Are the Healer. I also have a website, but honestly, my Too Hot to Settle information isn't even on my website because it's a waste of time in entrepreneurship. But
Yeah.
I do have a website, www.you'rethehealer.com. And then I have a school community that's free and it's perfect for people looking for Too Hot to Settle material. It's the Hot Girl Healing Hub. And yeah, that's on school. And it's a free community. We do moon rituals now, which has been really fun.
Cool.
So it's a great place to like meet in community and also like get to know people and share your stories and experiences.
Boom.
Oh, and then also I can't forget my podcast, my original baby is
Yes.
You Are the Healer. It's on all streaming platforms, YouTube now too. So that's a great place to. I have so many episodes. I've been doing that for 3 years, so it's a
Sick.
great place to learn more.
The OG
Yes,
right there. Let's
yes.
go. Amazing. If you were to leave, I'll drop all that by the way in the description for people to be able to peek at all that stuff. If you were to leave people listening to this podcast, which generally are nurses that are exploring and starting their own business, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would leave some of these nurses that are stepping into entrepreneurship?
You can do it. The world needs you like badly right now. And if not you, then who? Like you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Just believe in yourself. And like you said, little by little action steps. You don't build a business overnight. It's consistently showing up. And if you're a nurse, you're absolutely qualified enough to start a business.
Yes, let's go. Have that audacity, take the
Yes.
steps. You can do it. Put yourself out there. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. This was really fun. It has been such a gift to have you in my world and just see how much has shifted for you in your life and your business and all that you're stepping into. I'm really excited to hear about the networking event too, and super excited to hear more about all the women that you continue to impact. It's been cool to see the stories that have already come from Too Hot to Settle, and I know there's just like going to be so many more, and I'm fucking pumped, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. Yeah. Thank you.